Hi everyone, my name is Fatima Hinojosa. I'm a student at Georgetown University and this is my real estate market analysis for the property in Lakeforest Mall. First, we start with the introduction and location of the property. Lakeforest Mall is located in the Montgomery County in the state of Maryland. The city is Gaithersburg. Gettysburg is approximately 25 miles northwest of downtown Washington, D.C., and it is considered a suburb and a primary city within the Washington Metropolitan Statistical Area. It is the third most populous city in Maryland. It is separated by the Interstate 270. As you can see in the picture, Gettysburg is divided into east and west, locating Lake Forest Mall in the eastern area of the city. The western side of the city has grown in the past few decades, locating the wealthier neighborhoods and population. Now we're gonna talk about the property and its current site. The Lake Forest Mall is a regional shopping center. It is located in 701 Russell Avenue in the city of Gettysburg. It sits on 103 acres of land and it has 1.2 million square feet of retail, with 4 anchor tenants and around 150 stores and a food court. The project history started when it opened on September 1978. After changing ownership a couple of times, on 2000, the Lake Forest Mall was renovated and expanded. And today, we're analyzing the property to find the best use for the redevelopment of the site. Now we're going to talk about the site conditions. Regarding zoning, the land use regulation applied in Lake Forest Mall property is general commercial. Most of its western adjacent neighborhoods are high to medium density residential with several apartment complexes. The Lake Forest Mall trade area is located in the Montgomery County Public School System. This is the largest school system in Maryland and it is the 17th largest in the U.S. Within only a 15-minute drive from the Lake Forest Mall property, there are more than 7 schools located, including elementary school and a high school. One of the main advantages of the site, in my opinion, is its accessibility. The property is located close to major transit access and public transportation. There are 2 MARC stations in a 2-mile radius and the Shady Grove metro station only around 3.5 miles away. Finally, in terms of traffic around the location, the road with the highest traffic volume around the property is Montgomery Village Avenue, and the rest of the adjacent roads are considered low traffic. On the road visibility, unfortunately, trees and vegetation on the way obstruct the view from the I-270. On the other hand, because of the property currently has 6 road entrances from adjacent roads, it is likely to benefit with easy deliveries options and loading zones. First, we have to identify the trade area for the office market. The factors that had the greatest influence on determining the primary market for this case study were driving distance and a 3-mile radius. This in order to cover the competition, demographic, employment, and other opportunities and alternatives our future direct clients will have within the primary submarket. For the secondary market analysis delineation, the driving time and mile radius was expanded, adding some submarkets that for some reason could have an interest in the property. Natural boundaries for the secondary market include the Potomac River and the southwestern area of the property, and the suburbs of Clarksburg, Maryland. This radius enlargement sets a boundary for the secondary market, which are those consumers, potential renters for office or residential space that could go to your property but will have some similar options on the way, making it harder for you to attract them. Now we're going to take a look to the current market conditions of the office market. Because the area is very well connected through public transport, metro, and rail stations, the market trade area extends further away from Gaithersburg, and it is important to analyze the Montgomery County office market. According to CBRE, Montgomery County remained the engine of growth for the market, registering a positive absorption rate in 2018. Most of the square feet registered under construction are concentrated in downtown Bethesda, and the county has a vacancy rate of 14%. On the other hand, the city of Gaithersburg did not register any square feet under construction. It has a lower vacancy rate of only 9.70%, and the total inventory in the office market accounted mainly in Class A square feet, followed by Class B and then Class C office space. So now that we have reviewed the current market conditions and the trade area for the office market analysis, we will gonna talk about the projected job growth and the office demand. So the city of Gaithersburg has a forecast of around 20,000 new jobs from 2015 to 2045. This represents a job growth of 41.5%. Taking into account the job growth projected for the next years, and assuming 19,300 new jobs in 30 years is approximately around 600 new jobs per year, we can say that there is a demand for 120,000 square feet of office space. This, assuming in addition that an average of 200 square feet are needed per employee and that there is no current office supply and buildings under construction. Now, with all this information, let's assume as well that some of the demand of this new demand will be absorbed by the currently vacant spaces and the new construction that is projected in downtown Bethesda area. With all of this information, it is safe to say that Lakeforest Mall property could capture the rest of the office demand projected. This is around no more than 100 square feet of office space. Here are some conclusions after reviewing the office market of the area. From a supply perspective, there has been no construction for several years around the property. This has contributed in a decline in the vacancy rates for the past years. However, the new offices development in Bethesda might absorb some of the demand projected with the job growth. In addition, out of all the building classes, the information reveals that Class A office buildings have the lowest vacancy rates. It is important to keep in mind that with the new office space trends, tenants are demanding high-quality buildings with open spaces and amenities, and it looks like there are a few options in the market to choose from. There is a positive job growth projection for the upcoming years that could justify the development of office building in the area. That is why we believe that Lakeforest Mall property could capture around 100,000 square feet of office demand. Listening to trends and tenant demands would be crucial for new development in the area. Now that we have analyzed the office market, we're going to move to the residential market analysis. On the demographics, the Montgomery County is the most populated county in Maryland. It has an estimated population of around 1 million, and its median age is 39 years. It has a median income of around $100,000, making it one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. Gettysburg has an estimated population of around 66,000 people and has a median age of around 35 years. The majority of the people within the Lakeforest Mall trade area are married, and 31% of the trade area households have an annual income of at least $100,000. Now, looking into the household units and vacancy rates of the residential market analysis, there are approximately 25,620 housing units. Out of these units, 48% are rental units with a rather high median monthly gross rent of $1,600. The other 52% of the housing units belong to homeowners. The median property value in Gettysburg is around $370,000, and the monthly owner cost as a percentage of the household income is 20%. On vacancy rates, Gettysburg has a low housing unit vacancy rate recorded in 2018 of less than 5%. For the comparable rental apartment analysis, it shows that there are 10 comparable rental buildings in the primary trade area, adding approximately a total of 3,000 units. Only 20% of the apartment units analyzed in the area have studio units for rent. There is an average overall vacancy rate of 3.44%. 80% of the analyzed apartment buildings are categorized as Class A. Only 3 of the apartment buildings offer a playground as a common area amenity. Other common amenities include parking lots, garage, pool, tennis courts, and security. 2 out of the 10 properties have LEED certification. And finally, regarding rental rates, studio units have the highest rental rates per square foot of $2.6, and the average rental rate of one bedroom is $1.62. For two bedroom is 1.50, and for three bedroom units is 1.52. On the other hand, regarding the for sale apartment units in the primary trade area, there are 10 comparable buildings taken into account for this analysis. There is little or no new construction in the past years, and 80% of the analyzed units are in low-rise buildings. After reviewing the market conditions from the residential point of view, we can conclude the following. The high occupancy rates above 95% suggest that there is demand for residential units in the primary market area. There are no new developments under construction in the area. We can conclude that the location of the site is ideal for the residential market since it would provide the multifamily residents with good quality schools, several transportation options, and immediate access to major roads. Finally, we would recommend the developers to include, in addition of the standard amenities, sustainable quality features to their buildings. Now we're going to talk about the retail market analysis. Retail developments have a significant impact on the everyday life. They not only provide goods and services, but also give service to the people who live, work, and visit the area on a regular basis. For this retail market analysis, first we have to identify a primary trade area from which more than half of the percentage in sales will be drawn. Since convenience is a major factor for sales generated locally, for this retail analysis we will reduce the radius previously mentioned to a 3-mile radius for the primary trade area and a 5-mile radius for the secondary market. Due to the ease of navigation north and south along the I-270 and Rockville Pike corridor, the city of Rockville and Germantown will be considered in the secondary trade area, since it has the ability to attract customers from within the bounds of the submarket. As you can see in this data, because its location along the I-270 corridor and low price at a median value of around $350,000, the city of Gaithersburg submarket is an attractive location for middle-income households. The median annual income of Gaithersburg is around $80,000, which is more than the median annual income in the United States. And finally, the household size in this city is around 2.7 people per household. Now that we have analyzed the household unemployment in the primary trade area, we will take a look to the demand analysis. From the demand perspective, the resident-generated retail demand within the primary trade area is divided between 3 types of retail sectors. The first is the neighborhood goods and services, NGNS. The second one is the food and beverages, which is called F&B. And finally, the general merchandise, apparel, furniture, and others, which is commonly known as GAFU. First, we're going to take a look into the NGNS sector. These are establishments that depend upon the patronage of local residents and workers and service daily and weekly needs. Some examples of this type of retail are grocery stores, drugstore, florists, bakeries, specialty food stores, in general, any retail that you go in your daily basis. This is why NGNS retailers rely on spending from a nearby residents, students, and employees, generally located within a 1-mile radius. NGNS are convenient-based. It must be close with an easy access and parking. Now we're going to take a look into the food and beverages retail sector. These type of establishments serve food and alcohol consumed on premises or for takeout. Some examples for this type of retails are sit-down restaurants, cafe, bars, in general quick bite establishments and similar. These establishments can attract customers from a larger trade area than the NGNS retailers, especially when they are all clustered together. As you can see in the table below, the total F&B expenditures is around 6.65% of the total consumer expenditures of the area. Continuing with the retail market analysis on the demand side, we're going to take a look into the general merchandise, apparel, furniture, and other retail type. This is commonly known as GAFA. This type of establishment sells specialty merchandise that is actively sought by customers. For example, clothing stores, furniture store, bookstores, and others. Once successful, GAFA stores attract customers from long distances, such as shopping centers, outlet mall, etc. If you take a look into the table below, you can see that out of the total consumer expenditures in 2015, the total GAFO expenditures take up to an 18%, which is really high compared to the F&B and the NGNS. With a short summary of all the expenditures divided per retail type, NGNS, F&B, and GAFO, we can now continue with the capture rates. The capture rate for each category was the result of the total of each category divided by the total consumer expenditures. In order to measure the retail demand, analysis has to be calculated for each submarket's ability to attract the existing and projected expenditure by residents, workforce, and visitors to the area who regularly would spend on local establishments. The data used for this analysis was taken from site-wise reports. This should be then multiplied by a capture rate to estimate the total capture expenditures. Now that we have the capture rates and the estimated sales per square feet, taking an average of $400 and $300 per square feet, we can get to the total amount of supportable retail space for each category. In order to get this number, we calculated as follows. First, we multiply the capture rate times the aggregate expenditures. That number is divided by the estimated sale per square feet, and this will give us the total amount of supportable space in square feet. As you can see, in the demand within the primary trade area from 2015 and 2016, we can easily say that the summary retail demand supports around 300,000 square feet. Continuing with the same analysis on the demand side within the primary trade area on 2020, we can justify a total amount of supportable retail space of around 500,000. Now that we have analyzed the demand side, we're going to go to the supply analysis of the retail market. The highest percentage of the retail within the Gaithersburg submarket is GAFO with 46%. According to the Montgomery County Retail Study, the most common shopping centers types are hybrid centers, which typically contain both neighborhood goods and services and GAFO retailers, and neighborhood centers. This report also said that most of the Montgomery County submarkets are undersupplied in the retail area, but the Gaithersburg submarket. They recommended that these submarkets should reposition a portion of its supply to other street activity uses, such as medical offices, daycares, and office space that opens onto the street. In addition of the current retail supply in the area, according to the Montgomery County planning, the projected retail space is of around 200,000 square feet. All of the cluster of developments shown on the table on the right are within a 3 to 5 mile radius of the site. Now that we have reviewed the retail market, we can get to some conclusions. There is a total amount of supportable retail space of around 500,000 square feet for 2020. There are approximately 200,000 square feet that are already approved and on project for these upcoming years. So, taking into account the approved projects and the total amount of supportable retail space, we can recommend for this project a total retail space of 366,000 square feet. The changes in consumer habits and the growth of online shopping is changing the brick and mortar retail industry. Retail stores and developers have to be flexible and adapt in their planning to the constant changes in the trends in the retail industry. As e-commerce grows, walkability, green areas, and placemaking are important ingredients for mixed uses and retail environments in order to give value to the in-store experience. That is why adding these elements to the redevelopment of the Lakeforest Mall with a mix of F&B and NGNS retail is recommended. The location and connectivity to major arteries of the site can benefit immensely the retail section of the project. NGNS retail, such as pharmacy, barbershops, and similar, should be emphasized in this mixed-use project. So, now that we have analyzed in detail the office market, the residential market, and the retail market for this area, we can get to some conclusions and recommendations for the redevelopment of the property in Lakeforest Mall. We can safely say that we recommend a mixed-use development for the property site with a residential unit as main use for the development, followed by retail space on the lower levels and some office space use. For this project, developers can capitalize on the synergy among complementary uses and create an overall cumulative market attraction that exceeds what the individual project would generate independently. This project could greatly benefit from a mixed-use development's vitality. All buildings and outdoor spaces should be interconnected by pedestrian links with enough green common areas to give that sense of community to the development. Likewise, the inclusion of high-end amenities and sustainable materials in the project are recommended. Now more than ever, consumers are paying attention to these details when making an important purchase or decision. The analysis recommends the following mixed-use development mix. We would start with residential space as main use for the development, with around 300 units. Because of the low supply in studios in the area, it is recommended to add this type of unit to the development, followed by one-bedroom apartments, two-bedroom apartments, this should be the main type of units, and ending with three-bedroom units. Because of the low median age of the area, amenities such as playgrounds and tennis courts are recommended in the complex. Now we're going to follow with the retail space for the development. The trade area can absorb up to 366,000 square feet. NGNS tenants that will give service to the residential units and trade area are recommended. Medium to high-end retail stores are advised, with a well-known anchor tenant such as Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's. The addition of no more than 100,000 square feet of office space is suggested on the development project to give the vibrant feel of a mixed-use development. Co-working spaces such as a WeWork and other options are a great type for this mixed-use development. Thank you very much for taking the time to review this presentation with me. I hope you enjoyed it and learned from it. Bye-bye.